Frederick Watts.
This is Jean Watts. And this is Love in 60 Seconds.
We have been married for over 20 years.
And in that time, we have learned a few things that we'd like to share with you.
So if you're single, newlyweds, or seasoned in marriage, we think you will enjoy the upcoming program.
Absolutely. And we want you to like, engage, share, and do all of those wonderful things that we do on Instagram, Facebook, and every other social media outlets. Send us DMs. We want to hear from you.
This is
Love in 60 Seconds.
60 seconds. Love in 60. Love in 60 seconds.
Hey everybody, good evening. This is Frederick and Jean Watts, and this is Love in 60 Seconds.
Hello. Hi,
How you guys doing this evening? As you can see, we are live tonight, and we are in two different cities, so we're doing this not together for the first time.
Well, not that first time. We've done it not together, I think maybe a couple of times. But I think this is the first time we've done it like this via StreamYard or whatever that we're doing now. So
Yeah.
cool.
Hey family, hey Twy, how are you? Thank you guys for joining, and as always, like and share. And if you are signing in tonight, please share this with somebody. We got a good topic this evening, and hopefully you enjoy our new format. We'll be brief. We try to do it 30 minutes or less. Give you the fast food of love in 60 seconds. So as always, we do appreciate your support. And we are also excited because we're getting ready to celebrate next week 25 years of marriage.
Yes,
And this is
actually,
our
this
82nd or third episode.
yes, is a month from today. Not a month, Lord Jesus. A week from today is our 25th wedding anniversary. So, very exciting stuff. And we have a celebration starting. Well, the celebration begins on February 13th, Sunday, February 13th. So we're gonna have a really good time with some family and friends, some of our family and friends, and we'll be super excited to get that kicking off. So again, just you can like and share, and then we're gonna get right into it. We're not gonna be on long tonight because Mr. Watts is studying. And I have a million and one things to do tonight.
All right. So tonight on Love in 60 Seconds, we were talking about, or if you want to talk about a recap of what we talked about last week, right fast, Jean.
Sure. Yeah, I will talk about that. We talked about the love challenge last week, and we talked about, challenge and commission people to be intentional about showing love, being intentional about showing love, whether it's to, specifically or particularly to your spouse, but also to others in your life. Also, others in your life. My husband said, your eyelash is coming off. Okay, God bless. But particularly to others in your life that that you want to get a better relationship with, to engage with more, to see more fruit from your relationship. So, being intentional about showing love, whether it's saying I love you every day, whether it is doing whatever is pertinent to that person's love language. You want to do those things. And those kinds of feelings, those kinds of emotions, those kinds of actions bring feelings of joy. They bring feelings of happiness. They bring feelings of euphoria, feelings of well-being when you have those types of feelings, and those types of actions bring those feelings. So you want to continue throughout the month of February, the love month, to show action and show love.
Yeah. And so our topic last week was the 28-day love challenge. And so we're challenging everybody, all our people that are watching or signing on, watching later, just to make sure that you're expressing love to those around you, especially your spouse and those in your household, for 28 days. Because like we said, our bishop says, whatever you do for a certain period of time repetitively becomes a habit. And so you want to make sure that you have a habit of showing love and expressing love to your spouse. So tonight, wife picked a really great topic called joy killers, and we want to talk about that because, as she said, some of the aspects of having relationships that is to sometimes, if you don't watch, some of the actions in your relationship can kill the joy in your relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the first things uh, where it starts, and we're gonna just kind of just get right into it so that we can kind of get in and get out of it. But it starts with self love. And if you do not have, and I'm not saying, full of yourself or being narcissistic, that's a whole entirely different type of lesson, a whole different thing. But if you don't have self love, if you don't have respect and love and endearment for yourself, what
Hmm.
you pour out to your spouse and what you pour out to other people, and we're talking about relationships and marriage, what you pour out to your spouse is going to be an ugly version of things, and nobody wants to hear a person putting themselves down all the time,
Hmm.
um, or not taking care of themselves, because not taking care of yourself is also a way. Um, it is also a way to exhibit a lack of self-love. If you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not eating right, if you're not exercising, that's not really exhibiting self-love. It's exhibiting a lack thereof. So while you're doing these 28 days of love on yourself. We talked about it last week a little bit about self-love. You want to show attention to yourself. Do things like, I have a day this week that is a personal day that I said I'm going to rest. I am not going to take the morning off. I'm not going to work. And I'm going to do some self-care, some self-love things for myself. My husband is out of town. And I'm not even gonna do a lot of mama things, with my son. I got one of my sons that is here with us this week, um, you know, hanging out with us, and I'm just gonna do stuff for myself for this week.
That's right. And I think it's really hard to love yourself, or to love anybody else if you don't love yourself. And it's important to make sure that you investing in loving yourself, because how can you give love away if you don't know what love is and you don't
Absolutely.
have that experience? Because that love should be given away, but like you said, it's really hard to really love your spouse if you don't love yourself. And to love yourself, or that self-love, or lack of self-love, is really a lack of relationship with the author and finisher of your faith and the creator of love, which is Christ.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's good. That's good, Mr. Watts. That's good.
Mhm.
Um, uh, Now, the next thing that we want to get into is it's kind of a thing that I like to tell a lot of single women. Well, not just single women, but single people, period. A joy killer is a person who asks for help too soon. Like, you ask for stuff, you just asking for stuff like too quickly in a relationship. There's
Mhm.
Our bishop has like so many sayings that we just like, kind of live by, and that we remember. One of them is, you got up too quick. Do not get don't ask people for stuff. You just don't be needy. Don't
Mhm.
be needy. Don't be needy too quickly. Don't be needy too swiftly. It is okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for assistance in certain things. But if you're just getting married and you want your spouse to do everything, or you're just getting into a relationship and you want your significant other to do every little thing for you, that's a joy killer. Like, that's like a bus when you got to always be the person. You always got to do something for somebody. No, nobody wants to be around, somebody who's not contributing to the love. And
Right.
I don't
No,
know.
that's good. And like I was thinking about some of the jobs I've had previous. I worked for the police department. I worked for the fire department, and those types of jobs are called first responders.
Mhm.
First responders to the scene of the crime, or to the scene of the accident, or to the scene of a situation where help is needed. But a lot of times, you need to be your own first responder,
Mhm.
because you need to be able to take time to think things through. before you just go out and be like, oh, help, help, help. It's no, it's not a problem to ask for help. We're, especially in relationships, sometimes you need counseling. You need to talk things through. But we're also faith-based, meaning that a joy killer, meaning joy can be consistently killed in your life if you consistently seek others for solution instead of going to the source of the person who can really help you. And that's first going to God. If you go to God first to say, hey, give us the directions on how to work through our marriage, how to work through this problem, how to work through this issue, and God's going to tell you, this is what you do. This is how you do. Pray together. I got a lot of instructions in my word. And then the Holy Spirit will guide you. Be like, yeah, go get some counseling, go share this with others. But if you always are, using outside influences to try to better or solve problems in relationships, then you're not setting up boundaries or barriers or fences to really protect your relationship.
And that is absolutely true. Hi, Miss LaShawn Strickland. How you doing? Yeah, so you just, really hit the nail on the head. You really have to really put Christ in the center. You got to seek God and ask the Lord for help, and really lean and depend on His help. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, and the Lord will help us, and that right early. A lot of times we wait to ask God last for everything, and we ask everybody else first. And it is really taxing and sometimes toxic when you keep asking somebody else for something. You keep asking, and whether it's your spouse, you got to be, balanced in the relationship. Whether it's your husband or your wife, some things you can do on your own, and do that. And sometimes if you're leaning too hard, especially in certain seasons on people, it's a joy killer for everybody involved. It's a joy killer for everybody involved. So watch that when you're asking for people. Not to say not to ask for help. If you need it, ask. But do not become needy, and overly needy and overly dependent on someone else.
That's right. And another just common sense issue or common sense reasoning is because if you have so many opinions on your situation, you're never going to grow or get the strength that you need because you have so much outside influences on inside and personal problems. If everybody has an opinion on your marriage and your spouse doesn't, or if everybody has an opinion on your children and you not getting direction because you're listening to everything else, you can't grow. There's too much outside influencing your decisions, and God doesn't want you to be in a situation where you're not going to be better or stronger.
Absolutely agreed. Now our next joy killer is this, and it's a big one. Do not ever, and I mean, do not ever compare your spouse to nobody. The comparison is a joy killer. Comparison, period. It's a joy killer. You don't compare your spouse to anyone else. Your wife is the standard of beauty. She's the standard. Your husband is the standard of handsomeness. He's the standard, and and even when he's yawning while I'm talking, it's all good. He's still the standard. He's the standard of attention. He's the standard. But your spouse is the standard, and you have to make sure that you commonly double back that and make sure that you're establishing that your spouse is not to be compared with others. I don't know what you have to say about that, sweetheart, but
No, yeah, that's just comparison kills, and we've talked about that before in so many issues of how the enemy works because there's so many instances that and what people and baggage people bring into their relationships, into their marriages because of past experiences, and then if you do that and you allow to always compare, you can watch how you compare yourself to past relationships, past experiences, and those things are joy killers because it won't just kill the joy in your spouse, but can kill the joy in yourself is that every time, let's say you're being intimate, you're comparing yourself or your spouse to a past relationship, or every time you're dealing with an argument or dealing with a situation, you're seeking a solution of how somebody else would have compared. And that's because, we talked about having relationships that God didn't want you to have in the first place, then you're not able to enjoy your spouse because now you're battling the enemy of the mind and dealing with comparisons, because comparisons can, like what we're talking about, it can really destroy joy. And then who wants to be compared to something that they can't hold a standard to, or something that is unrealistic? How do you think that makes your spouse feel? How do you think it makes them feel? And how do you, it will kill the joy, because you're not being fair and being honest in your relationship.
Absolutely. And that kind of leads me to the thought of another part of that same component, a joy killer, but that invisible imaginary person that is not even a real person. It's the husband that you had in your head. It's the wife that you had in your head. It was never even a real person. Is
Mm.
the imaginary husband that brings you flowers every day and comes and tells you that you're beautiful every day and makes a gazillion dollars and is the smartest man, and he's got a six pack, and he's this person, he's speaking tongues 12 hours a day, but he talks about you the other 12 because he doesn't need sleep because he's amazing like that. Now, what person, who is that? Like, that is nobody. That is nobody. Like in the Good Night Moon book, Good Night Nobody, that was nobody.
Right.
It's not a real person, but you'd be surprised. It happens a lot of times with single women that they do not realize what they have right in front of them, because they're comparing the person that they have in front of them to that imaginary person, to that imaginary husband, that imaginary person that may not have um, all of those components that they think they want. Um,
Mhm.
but that's not for real. It's not realistic. And and the same with men who compare their wives or compare their girlfriends, you know what I'm saying, to some person that's an imaginary wife that's a 36, 24, 36, which is not even the thing, the standard now. I guess it's something much bigger than that. But that, or she's got a big, thick in the waist. I mean, not thick in the waist, thick in the hips and small in the waist, that kind of stuff. And she thick in the waist, that's probably most women. But anyways, comparing that woman, she cooks all the time, she cleans all the time, she's loving all the time, she's you know all of those things, and she got a job, and she looked like Beyonce, and she can sing, and she can dance, and she speaks tongues, and she's a lady in the streets, and what, she's not, she's everything. um and sometimes that woman is not the woman that you have. So like the word of God says, you love that woman into the woman that you wanted to be. And basically where I got that from is where it talks about how Christ loved the church, and gave himself for it, and that he presented unto himself a bride without a spot or a wrinkle. As a man, you can love your wife into, now you can love her into a haberdashery of nonsense. You can just love her, or lack of love her into that. You know what I'm saying? Not giving her the right amount of love, and she can become a very cantankerous person. But if you're
Mhm.
giving her the right amount of love and the right amount of strength, the recipe, God has it. When you follow that recipe, then you can love that woman into being an amazing woman.
That's right. So joy killers go both ways. You can love them out of something that they should be, and you should also be able to love them something into what they desire to be and what God has for them to be. Number four sort of just goes with number three, which is comparing your children to other. So especially when sometimes when you are new parents, or unfortunately sometimes maybe you don't have information about, like, there's a lot of times when Gene and I, when we were raising our boys, you're like, With me as an only child growing up, I was like, do siblings do this? Do things happen like this? And then, sometimes Gene would be like, having to take all our kids to church if I wasn't there one time. And if one was jumping up and down for 5 seconds, somebody would make you seem like it was abnormal when they're normal. That's what boys do, or that's what things do. But, you don't want to ever kill their dreams or hopes by comparing them to other children. Oh yeah, look at so and so's kids. They come to church and they sit with the ties and they don't move. But you don't know what's going on at home. They don't move maybe because they're antisocial, and your
Yeah,
kids are
or
blessed.
being abused.
Right.
You know?
And so it sort of just moves on in the same aspect as what you were talking about comparing your spouse as well, because the Bible talks about how children, that they're a blessing and they are a gift, and what God gives you, you're able to handle, you're able to parent, and you don't have to worry about what you see on Instagram or what you see on the pew sit next to you or what you see in the school.
Absolutely. And the Bible says also that, work out your own soul salvation with fear and trembling. You don't compare your children's um behavior or spirituality. Each person is an individual. Don't compare them to each other. Don't compare them to, or your big brother don't act like this. Y'all raised in the same house. Well, if you got more than one kid, you know that all of your kids are raised by the same parents and they all behave differently. But that goes back into and I used to think if you treat them all the same, they should all be the same. That's not the case, because each person is an individual. They have their own love languages, even children, and you got to love them into their own love language, their unique personality. You got to love them. I love all of my children equally, but I have to treat them equally, differently, and I treat them differently in different seasons. And I had to learn that. I had to learn that it's not a blanket recipe when you have more than one kid. It's just not. And if you try to act like it is, then you're going to make some serious mistakes. So by treating them differently and not comparing them to anybody else's kids, because we only know what we see through the glass darkly. We don't know what it takes for a person to be where they are, who they are, or to what level they are that. But don't compare your children to their siblings, and don't compare them to other children, because that is a joy killer in your child. Build them up in their self-esteem with the good things that they have within themselves, and don't let them compete within themselves. Compete to be the better person,
Within
a
them.
better person than they were before.
That's right. And the Bible basically still says, train up a child in the way they should go, and when they're old, they will not depart. That's still the commandment to the parents. It's still your responsibility
Yeah.
to love them, to build their self-esteem, to not tear them down. And if you are comparing them to others, they may not say it, but that'll affect them later in life. So it's still your responsibility to be good parents and not destroy the joy and not destroy the gift that God has given you. And that's so important. So finally, our last one tonight is
Don't compare your money. Don't compare
yeah,
your finances to other people.
right.
That's a joy killer. Like and I struggle with this sometimes too. I'm like, ooh, now why does Beyonce and Jay-Z have way more money than me? What is the problem? I love you, Lord. Do they love you? I don't know. They may love you, but it's evident that I love you. you know,
Mhm.
Bill and Melinda. It's evident that I love you. Do Bill and Melinda love you? I don't know if they do or not. The Zuckerbergs, do they love you? I don't know. But these people have so many dollars. They
Right,
can do
right.
whatever they want. But in the real world, um, a lot of times, you know, we put undue pressure on ourselves to um, compare ourselves, to other people financially. Certainly everybody should work to better themselves and to go as far as they want to go, and as far as they feel like they can go financially. But don't compare yourself, or think any less of your spouse because they don't make, you know, six figures four times over, or they don't make six figures at all, or they don't make $50,000. Uh, you know, Work together. That's the point of being a team. Work together to do the very best that you can as a team. So give, pay your tithes, give offerings, be a blessing to people. I have this, and we have this sign in our house that says, when you are focused on being a blessing, that God will always make sure that you have what you need in abundance.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
focus on doing that, and it'll help to not kill your joy.
Yeah. You
Focusing
don't
on
want to be able.
yeah, go ahead, honey.
And I'm just saying you don't want to be able financial stress and loss of finances, and especially like you said, comparing is a number one joy killer in relationships because you're stressing and but you're looking the grass is greener. You don't know what's happening in people's bank
Mm,
accounts or what they're
mm,
experiencing, or you can't say, oh, if I didn't invest in this or I could have been better. Be happy where you are, trust God for the increase and believe on the principles of obtaining wealth and, whatever. But your joy should come from loving your spouse. You don't have to worry about other people's bank account or because there's in this day and time, especially you look on social media, most of the stuff that you see out there is not true.
mm-mm.
People are easily to floss.
Pay some blouses.
It's easily to look like you got a nice bag and it be fake, or whatever. Or you trying to keep up with somebody on material things
Yeah,
and go out spending stuff and you're taking away from your family, so don't let you comparing yourself, once again,
yeah,
comparison to others, kill your joy, because that'll give you the lack of self-love. It will give you an ability to ask for help too quickly. It'll cause
mhm,
you to compare your spouse. It will do all those things. You don't have a successful relationship because you're basically in somebody else's bank account,
yeah,
and it's just so deceiving because the world is all about the lights and flashes, but
mhm.
most of the time you don't know the struggle that goes beyond that or behind that.
Absolutely, you don't, and stay focused on what it is that you're doing and what it is that you're building, um, and that is, what needs to happen. I'm sorry, I got a text, and my son was texting me at the same time. I was talking again. Don't compare this child to the other child because one child texts and calls me all the time. One hardly calls me or texts me, so we're not going. But I love them all the same. But again, those things are joy killers. Those things are things that you want to watch. Watching your, doing all of those things will help you to have a better relationship with your spouse, to feel better about yourself, live your life, live your best life, and cultivate and build up your own house. That's the thing. Build your own house, and don't let bad situations or situations where things are down um, take your joy away. Focus on what God has for you in your life. Continue to pray. Leave everything that's too heavy for you at the cross. And it's easier said than done, but it is possible. And we cast our cares upon Him because He cares for us.
That's right. So, hey, once again, we appreciate you guys tuning in. And as always, if you can like and share and share this with somebody as we go back through episode 82, we have a lot of information that's really good about relationships, loving each other, loving your spouse, building good fences, and protecting your relationship. So follow us on social media as we grow back on Instagram. We're there at Wattsup Entertainment, and we're also on Facebook at Wattsup Entertainment. And we are on YouTube where you can see all our past videos at Wattsup Video. So we appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. And as always, we hope that you have enjoyed this. And we will see you guys hopefully next week for a
Yeah.
brief encounter.
Yeah.
We'll be out of the country. So we appreciate it. So we love you guys. We're praying for your marriage. And this has been Frederick and Jean Watts. And this is Love 60 Seconds.
60 seconds. Good
See
night.
you later.
Bye, babe.
Bye-bye.
Loving, 60, loving.
Well, guys, we have to wrap it up this evening. We really hope that you've enjoyed our conversation.
Yes, this conversation has been amazing, and we want you to tune in again next time so that we can discuss more of these amazing topics and these topics of interest. Then don't forget to DM us, contact us, reach out to us, and we will definitely respond back.
If this has been Love in 60 Seconds, don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
All right, good night, everybody.
60 love in 60 seconds.